Well, as Heidi mentioned, Senate confirmation hearings are taking place for Joe Biden's incoming administration. The nominee for Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, is among those being questioned. He's outlined his approach to the Middle East. He said that he recognises Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and says the U.S. embassy will stay there. He also wants to build on recent U.S.-brokered normalisation deals between Israel and the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco and Sudan. On Iran, Blinken wants to consult with Israel and Gulf allies to renew the 2015 nuclear deal. He wants a longer and stronger agreement. Blinken also reiterated Biden's campaign pledge to end U.S. support for the Saudi-led coalition fighting in Yemen. Let's go to Rami Khouri, who's Director of Global Engagement at the American University of Beirut. He joins us by Skype from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Many thanks for speaking to us. Antony Blinken quite measured there about the Trump administration's Middle East policy. When he was asked if he recognises Jerusalem as Israel's capital, he said yes. Were you surprised by that?
Not really. The Democrats, the Biden, Clinton, Blinken, those kind of Democrats, very centrist, are extremely pro-Israeli. They have a track record of essentially saying that there should be a two-state solution, but they never really do anything to stop Israel's continued colonial expansion and building settlements and grabbing Arab land. And the measures that Trump took, most of them the Democrats may not have taken themselves, but they don't particularly have any big problem with them. The interesting thing is he did say, though, that Biden is going to push or supports a two-state solution. He said the answer to the Jerusalem embassy issue is to have the Palestinians get their state, which he said they deserve, they're entitled to, which is interesting new terminology, I think. He also said he didn't think there'd be much movement on that front quickly. But of course, that's understandable because there's many other more pressing issues. So there's not much surprising at all in what Blinken said. He did say one other thing that I thought was really important, that the Israeli drive to equate criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism and stop people supporting BDS, the sanctions against Israel movement around the world. Blinken essentially said, well, Biden doesn't like BDS either, but the First Amendment constitutional right in the United States gives every citizen the right to say and do what they want as long as it's not against the law. So that was a pretty important statement from Blinken, saying basically that they're not going to join the Israeli kind of hysterical drive to stop anybody from criticizing Israel or supporting BDS. So there's a couple of interesting little new dimensions there, but generally speaking, what he said was expected.
And what did you make about his comments on Turkey? How do you think Biden's government is going to change vis-a-vis Turkey?
You know, it'll have to be negotiated. The Turks and the Russians have developed significant new relationships across the Middle East. The Iranians also in some ways, and the Israelis in very limited ways. Mostly the Israeli deals are with individual autocratic leaders, but the Turks, the Russians, have developed much greater strategic relationships across the regions, and the Turks are trying to develop good relations with Israel again to get back to where they used to be. So this is going to have to be negotiated. Turkey is a member of NATO, so it's not like, Turkey is not like Iran. I think they will work out some kind of mechanism, and there'll be the usual bland democratic centrist declarations on human rights, saying, well, Turkey has to support human rights and not treat its people badly or its political opposition badly. But this is the problem with the centrist Democrats, that they speak well, but their policies tend to be pretty militaristic and aggressive in most cases. But you can only judge them after they actually have power and start doing things. They want to rejoin the agreement with Iran, which is a good thing. And it was the Democrats, Biden was there when they negotiated it. That was a pretty spectacular success story for the P5+1 countries. And hopefully they will work on on that again. He said that they want to consult Israel and the Gulf allies as they do this, which is normal diplomatic language. That doesn't mean anything significant, I don't think. If the U.S. wants to make a deal with Iran, the U.S. will make a deal. Israel is not going to stop it.
Rami, very good to get your thoughts. Rami Khouri, Director of Global Engagement at the American University of Beirut.